Hello, I'm Mark Baer. You're watching the YourTown television program. I'm with Terrie Iacino, the outgoing executive director of Catholic Charities. Welcome.
Thank you, Mark. It's good to be here.
So first of all, let's just give the overall view of what programs and services does Catholic Charities do, and let's just fill in.
Catholic Charities covers four counties: Monterey, San Benito, Santa Cruz, and San Luis Obispo. We have two major programs and then a project. We have family supportive services, we have immigration services, and we have a tattoo removal program in the Santa Cruz.
How big is that? That's really interesting that you do.
We're the only Catholic Charities in the country that has a tattoo removal program. We have 400 clients that come way beyond our geographic area.
How did that start?
Dominican Hospital had a program. We had a tiny program. They transferred their program to us. We took over all the doctors. I have 11 volunteer doctors, 3 lasers, and they come on their lunch hour after work. They put in an hour. They do like 12 clients apiece. It's pretty remarkable.
That's just so interesting. So let's just clear up a misunderstanding. Do you need to be Catholic to go to Catholic Charities?
No, we do what we do because we're Catholic. But we can serve anybody from any belief, background. It doesn't matter. And any culture, they all come to us.
And then what's new? What's on the program, and how's it? What's the latest stuff that you've got going on?
Well, every year, something that's very critical, I think, to the community is that during the winter months, we provide a rental assistance program for people that are trying to stay in their homes. Our job, our focus, is to keep people from becoming homeless. So we help them with their rent or mortgage or move-in or utilities. We provide, we have CalFresh that does, we help them find resources for their budget. If they can apply for their green cards, their EBT cards, we do that happening. The big program we have, probably the biggest program we have is immigration services.
Which is probably very stressed at this moment.
It's very complicated, and the community is fearful and very stressed, but we have a long history. We've been doing this for over 40 years, and we do it in the whole Central Coast. I have professionally trained staff that are credentialed by the Department of Justice that help them through all the application processes, and they're very compassionate. We hear wonderful stories.
And then let's get to the important thing right now. How does the public support you, and where does their dollar go, and how do they support you?
70% of our funding is from donations. We have a once-a-year in-pew collection in the Catholic parishes throughout that area, but primarily we have a mailing list. People can reach us on our webpage to make donations to Catholic Charities. We have fundraising events. 70% now, so that means only 30% comes from government or foundations or grants.
So where do they just go to Catholic Charities online, or how do they do this?
That's the easiest way.
Okay.
On our webpage, there's a drop-down button that says Get Involved and Donate Now, or at the bottom, and we've redone our webpage so it's very user-friendly and you can navigate it easily.
And are you looking for both money and expertise, or just money? What are you looking for out there?
We have a volunteer program, and,
yes.
I love the fact that we can get, intellectual volunteers that can come in and support our programs, give us an hour, give us a day, come into our offices, help us do assessments, help us write strategic planning, give us any kind of consultation they have. But primarily we have volunteers who really want to work with clients. That's a complication for us because so much of what we do is, it's confidential information we get from clients. But when we have intake and we do these outreach efforts, we can have everybody at the table when they're trained. We would love that. I can put them in a vest, a Catholic Charities vest, and they can come and we'll train them to do this, and they can get a flavor of the kind of clients that we serve in this whole area.
Yeah. And I assume, like most nonprofit situations, you're stressed beyond your capabilities, but you soldier on.
It is the nature of nonprofit work. And we don't do it for the money. We do it because our heart is there. We recognize that the community seeks us out And even if we can't meet their immediate need, we have the resources. We'll walk the journey with them how long it takes. Yeah.
So let's talk about you. 15 years, and
No, 45 years in church ministry, 7 years at Catholic Charities.
so let's just talk about, let's stay on Catholic Charities.
Okay.
And so 7 years. What's the legacy? What personally? What have you seen? What's changed? What's surprised you? Let's go from a personal take.
I saw coming in as the new executive director the enormous potential Catholic Charities had to build a bigger footprint in this community, in these 4 counties. And I knew one of the ways to do that would be in immigration. And we now have our trained staff available in all 5 of our offices, plus we go to Greenfield and we go to King City. We're in Soledad, we go out to San Luis Obispo. And I knew that staff had to be trained properly. I got them all certified. I became certified. I wanted them to know that we need to raise our profile in that respect. So now now that I'm leaving the agency, I'm creating a fund that people can contribute to online that's called the Toribio Romo Fund. This is a saint, a new saint, was martyred at 27. John Paul II canonized him. He's become the de facto patron for the migrants coming across the border. And I want money to go into that fund, and I want it initially to be focused on and serve to offset the costs for the people who are coming through our immigration program who are victims of crime.
Mm-hmm.
When a person is an undocumented person and they're the victim of the crime, they feel trapped and they hide. It takes enormous courage to come forward and seek some kind of immigration remedy, and we have the skilled staff that can do this. We do over 100 of these a year. We help them complete the application, get all the evidence. You have to go to the DA, they have to recount their story. We let them write it in their own language and we translate it. We submit their application. Then they get in line for citizenship. But the United States government only issues 10,000 of those a year, U visas. And so they may be in that line for 5, 6, 7, 10 years. But while they're in line, all of these people and their families are not deportable. So for me, it's our services providing hope. It's a spark of hope for these people.
What have you personally learned about the immigrant experience? Because it's gut-wrenching, it's hard. These, by and large, are very hard-working, wonderful people who will contribute, and yet it's just a difficult experience. And I think until you're on the front lines, you don't really understand. And what have you learned that I think the greater community hasn't learned?
What has moved me the most is the resilience of this community. They truly believe that the possibility and the hope for their children is going to happen in this country. And they're resilient to all the things that have happened, politically, locally, whatever. I also learned that you can't talk about this and you can't serve this community until you've met this community. You got to learn their stories.
Yeah. And they bring, because these are the people who have the spirit and the gumption and the will and the drive. I mean, these are the doers that come here, and yet I think there's this fear and this misunderstanding. And have you used your role as kind of being an explainer of this, or because there has to be probably a public outreach. In other words, you're between the two communities. You're between the community that's here and the incoming, to have to explain each other to each other.
Yeah, I think that's one of the great gifts that Catholic Charities has, to be in that zone where we broker, or we become the voice, or we at least open, or we build the bridges and convince people that have been fearful that there's a chance. There are people who want to hear your story, and we'll help you get to the place where you can tell your story. And if I'm in a group of people who misunderstand this community, I have become an enormous advocate for this, as have the whole staff at Catholic Charities.
Mm-hmm. And it's and so let's talk about the homelessness issue as well. Where are we? Are we making progress? Is it getting worse? Is it getting better? Where is?
Without sufficient housing, we're always going to have this issue.
Yes.
And you know, there's homeless coalitions in this community that are doing they're doing the lion's job of this. At Catholic Charities, we don't really serve the hardcore homeless.
Mm-hmm.
We want to we're the safety net.
You're the safety net people.
We want to keep people from becoming homeless. So if you're on the verge and you're a check away, or your car broke, or your kid's sick and you need to buy medicine, you've got to decide what to do with your check, come and see us. We'll help you work through that. We even have a program for parents and families who can get into a 9-month program with us, and we'll case manage for them to set realistic goals. We call it Pathways to Stability, to help a family become very stable in their goals, and we'll walk the journey with them.
And see, so I'm just learning about this. So how does the community find out about it? How do the people who need you most find you? How's that outreach done?
We do a lot on social media, and we're going to do more. Coming on your show helps enormously.
And I hope this is the first of many times to continue this conversation.
And when the new director comes
Yes.
on, you've got to call
Yes,
him up
yes.
and get him over here and give you some progress reports on this.
Yes.
I think that the word of mouth, Catholic Charities has been around for over 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we have, there are 47 Catholic parishes. So I already have that platform, and that reaches, you know, well over 1 million people, I suspect, in the 4 counties. So to raise our profile, to raise our story, to continue to tell people what we do. But we go out, we do a lot of outreach. We're in every slice of the community telling the story.
So Catholic Charities, how do you, as a local, the 4 counties, how do you coordinate with Catholic Charities around the country for best practices in this, and how does that work?
We're part of the network of affiliate agencies for Catholic Charities USA, and we go to an annual meeting. They have quarterly meetings, and in California, all of the Catholic Charities of the state of California have come together, and we've created Catholic Charities of California. I was vice chair of that group. The executive directors are there, and we help broker money from the federal government. When Catholic Charities of California writes a grant and says to the federal government, we can serve the whole state, we're first or second on the list to get funds. So I'm in constant communication with my colleagues in this network.
Okay. So over your term, as you're leaving, what's the scaring you the most that you're seeing out there? And what's the best news? So let's take the what's scaring you most and what you're fearful of, and then what's the progress.
I'm fearful that the political will is going to shift even more against charities, and that would be devastating to a whole lot of people that are serving the local community. I have fear of that because the unknown, that horizon is unknown now. But the most important thing I think I've seen is that we're beginning to do a significant, and this is going to be one of our strategic moments, to reach a new generation of people who have that altruistic spirit. You know, in our generation, it was the Peace Corps and that sort of thing, or, you know, but how can I manage a message and touch the hearts of young people who want to do something for their community in a positive way? That's my biggest hope.
And then, now that we're talking about that, how do they reach you? And let's
social media.
Okay.
Social media. I mean, I don't even understand social media, but it's amazing how quickly. The other piece of that, of course, is to control the message so it doesn't get haywire. And I have a marvelous person doing communication and development now who's on it. She's on it.
And it takes all hands on deck, doesn't it?
And I have a very participative board.
Okay.
Who wants to make sure that they can secure the future and the vision of what Catholic Charities is.
And then what is so special about where we live? Because this Fort County is diverse, it's broad, it's wonderful, and in my experience of it, it has a big heart. What do you feel about where we are?
When I came on as Catholic Charities Director 7 years ago, we didn't have a web page, and when we built the web page, then we looked for the, you know, what's going to be your web number, your age, I don't even know what you call your address.
Yeah.
And I, on purpose, helped everyone realize we should become Catholic Charities of the Central Coast of California. We cover the whole Central Coast. This is a very diverse coast. Every county is unique, but in every county, I know there are hearts and minds of extraordinary people we can touch, but they have to be able to find us.
And just on a personal level, helping people who need help, what has this given you spiritually? Because this is the gift that a young person this is the gift that they will receive by helping. And what has it meant to you?
This, I believe, is the deepest call anyone can answer. Be able to reach out and change the way the world works for the poorest among us, which will change the way the world works for all of us. And I have found that in my own spiritual life, in my work life, in my intellectual life. It's the spark, it's the reason I get up in the morning, is to continue that kind of response to that call.
You get a lot out of it.
I do.
And that's what I want to, you know,
Yeah.
it's not so much I can do for others,
No.
but you do for others, you're doing for you. And I think that's, I think that's a big, I think that's the one thing that I think young people will find when they go into this and get involved with what you're doing.
I think a hard thing for some people, and particularly the young, is we may not see the immediate result of our action, but we have to know that whatever pebble we drop in the stream or whatever seed we plant, there's going to be a harvest. It's going to reach the shore. It will continue and it will change people's lives. I've seen it happen. I've been in the midst of it, and I can tell you, and I can tell anybody in your listening audience, step out of yourself and help someone else.
You know, grace of God go we. It could be us.
Absolutely.
It could be, you know, and I think learning that is just the most important lesson. And now, in the last couple of seconds, you're leaving. You're going to go paint. You're going to have this next life, and may it be great. I think we're almost out of here. So, my guest, Terrie Lacino, let's pronounce it correctly.
Iacino.
Iacino, Catholic Charities. Thank you so much.
I was pleased to be here today.
Yeah, this is great. Well, this is the first of, we'll have many conversations with this organization.
I hope so.
And the new executive director coming in.
I appreciate that very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.